Hello there.
Hi, welcome to Anything Bagel.
Yes. Episode number 15.
Yay.
Third one of the year.
Yes,
Yeah,
so exciting.
it is so exciting.
Well, this week we're going to talk about the second half of Mel Robbins' Let Them theory.
hmm
So,
Yes, we're going to finish off where we left off in episode number 12. And episode number 13. I don't know. That's a lot of numbers
yeah,
to remember. So,
2 ago.
yes. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So Mel wrote this book, Let Them Theory. This is the unjacketed version of the book.
yeah. Yep.
And excellent book. If you get a chance, order it, go to your library, whichever.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Got inspired by the last one and maybe check it out.
yeah. And if you have any comments you'd like to make on it, just drop them in the comments below.
Mhm.
And if you have a topic that you would like us to cover on Anything Bagel on one of our normal episodes, also drop that in the comments and we will add it to our hat that we draw out of.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right,
Let's dive in.
let's dive in. So, last time we left off on motivating other people to change. I think we did part of that.
Yeah.
But then unlock the power of your influence.
Oh, yeah, we kind of were, like, excited about we were gonna that was where we were reading.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where we were
so,
reading.
yeah.
And about like not using your influence in a nagging way, but using
Yeah.
your influence in a more positive look at me, letting myself do these things, living my life,
Yeah.
finding joy in the things I'm doing, and in turn maybe inspiring, I guess you could use
Yeah,
the word.
that would be better. If
Yeah.
you instead of, like, being so focused on changing somebody or motivating them to change, just be the inspiration to change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Be the inspiration to do the things that you want to do that bring you joy in your life or
Yeah.
bring about change in your life. And if the
Yeah.
other person that you think needs to change sees you changing, then and we talked a little bit about sometimes how it has to be that other person's idea as well. So if they
Yeah.
see you changing and then they decide they're going to change something, then they're
And then she talked to, like, it might be a while before that person decides to change, or it might be never.
right.
Make sure you have that expectation in your brain. It could be never. So if you're working on, like, inspiring somebody, or if the end result is you wanting them to change, but you really should ask yourself, what if they don't?
What if they don't? Right.
Because at the end of the day, we can't force change. It has to be their idea. So you can be, like, wanting them to work out, and you can work out and be inspiring, but they still may never work out.
And then you have to decide if that particular behavior that you're feeling that other person needs to change, is that something that you can live with
Yeah.
and accept if they don't change?
Yeah.
And
And
then
you really should make sure, after a sufficient amount of time that I would say a year, I guess, because I always kind of place everything like grief. You have to go through everything
Mhm.
for a year before. And you really should check in with yourself. If they're not willing to change, what does that do for your guys' relationship?
Right. If they're not willing to change, are you willing to accept?
And you have to either decide yes or no. And if you're willing to accept that behavior, then the nagging and the worrying about inspiring them to change, that has to stop, because it just does. It'll make your life better, their life, your relationship better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, maybe what happens too is if we start focusing on ourselves more instead and making the changes that we want to make in our life and, just doing the things that are bringing us joy and that kind of a thing, that we won't be so focused on that other person anyway. So you may find that you can come to accept something that you thought you couldn't because you're not so busy paying attention to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like what we pay attention to, or what we, I don't know how that goes. What we focus on is what we pay attention to, or whatever. Or
It brings more into light.
I was listening to Mel Robbins' podcast today. She was doing with Martha Beck, and it was talking about those videos where, they tell you, okay, watch this video and pay attention how many times the basketball gets bounced or whatever. But then at the same time, in the background, there's like a big gorilla running through the scene, but you're so focused on that basketball and counting how many times that you don't even see the big gorilla running through the scene.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, whatever you focus on. So if all you're focused on is the behavior of the other person that's driving you absolutely crazy,
Yep.
it's going to keep driving you crazy.
And it's going to keep driving you more crazy. That can be applied to everything, like us like focusing on gratitude or focusing on the problems. And this has been proven like by science. It's written, and multiple people have wrote about this. If you are negative, or if you're like, my life always has all these problems, there will be more problems. Life is full of problems every day. So if you just keep focusing on those, you attract what you focus on.
Right.
So
Yeah. And you put off a different energy.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're, what kind of energy you're putting out is the kind of energy that you attract back.
Yeah.
And people can, even though people don't necessarily know that they are feeling your energy, we do feel other people's energy.
Yeah, because you notice when somebody walks in the room,
right,
and how you feel, or when they leave the room.
Yeah.
If you feel better when they leave the room.
Right. Yeah.
Because some people don't notice their energy, but it's definitely something felt.
One of the things she was talking about was like attracting love was one of the things they were talking about. And Martha gave the thing to try is to walk into a coffee shop. It's always a coffee shop. I don't know why. But anyway, walk into a coffee shop. The first day you walk in there and you're just kind of saying, you know what? There is no love in this world. I'm never going to find love. There's not enough love. There's whatever. And so obviously you're going in there with like a negative kind of a vibe or whatever. And then pay attention to like what you're attracting or kind of what your experience is when you're in there. And then the next day go in there and say, I find love everywhere.
Yeah.
Love is everywhere. I find love in nature. I find love in other people. I love other people, just in this more positive vibe, and see like how your interactions and people react to you and that kind of a thing. So
maybe even come down to like when you get your coffee both ways, both days, like your coffee can taste just a little bit off when you're thinking like negative.
Right.
But when you're thinking positive or thinking about love, if that's the situation, it will taste that much. Your coffee will taste better.
Right.
And I believe that.
In your
a bad mood.
Yeah. In your whole experience with your barista, is that what they're called? A barista will probably be different too, depending on the energy that you're putting out. It's just like same thing at a grocery store, same thing wherever, it's the vibe that we, are putting out, or the other person, is putting out.
Yep.
And we can choose to reject a vibe.
Yeah, you don't have to accept that into your life.
Yeah. Like if you're noticing a really negative kind of a vibe or whatever, you can kind of, reject that or whatever. And so I know, kind of, interesting. The power of your influence.
Yeah.
So
you can influence, but really make sure, like we said, check in with the results might not be what you want.
Right. So, right. Or they could be better. Yeah. You never know.
Yep. You never know.
Or something.
And what you want to.
Right.
You want to put effort into. You want to, whatever you want to put up with in said relationship. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then let's see, the next section of it was on helping someone who is struggling. And the concept, one of them is the more you rescue, the more they sink.
We both can talk a lot about this. I hope when you hear that sentence that you sit with it for a minute. The more you rescue, the more they sink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we were just talking about this before we were recording here, as a lot of times Danielle had said, just, somebody gets very close to hitting their bottom,
Yep.
and then somebody slides in
The mattress.
the mattress or whatever, the cushion,
Yep.
to catch them before they actually, hit their bottom.
And that's all. It's always, of course, comes from a loving place.
Right.
We don't like to see our loved ones, children, mothers, brothers hit their rock bottom, but we both have life experience. People must hit their rock bottom, and this is where people only change when they feel like it.
Right.
That's the only way that that's going to come about in most circumstances, is hitting their rock bottom.
Right. Because if somebody always gets rescued, they're never gonna make those I guess those deep changes, or whatever you want to call them, that they need to make in order to
That one realization
right.
that will help them.
Yeah. And then the cycle continues.
Yeah.
I always say somebody has to quit dancing. That is something that I say a lot, is that, if you're dancing in an unhealthy relationship or an unhealthy struggle like that, where, like, say maybe of a family member who's, addicted to whatever. I mean, it could be gambling, it could be drugs, alcohol, whatever it is. And if the cycle keeps continuing the same way all the time, you're just going to get more of what you've already gotten.
Yeah.
And so somebody has to be the one who's willing to say, I'm not going to dance anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to step aside.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
then the other person is forced to figure out what it is they're gonna do. It's kind of like the concept too of, somebody throws a ball to you. It doesn't mean you have to catch it.
Yeah. Yep. And one of the things that she talked about is, this kind of relates, I would say, unfortunately, mostly to like gambling or addiction, was that the money situation, like parents or whoever, if you're constantly always helping them out, that you need to make sure that you're putting stipulations on things and sticking to those stipulations. Like, you can stay here and I will help you out, but you're not allowed to be on drugs here. You're not allowed to be gambling here. And sticking to that, which may mean at the end of the day, you may need to kick them out and they be homeless, which is tough.
Right. It is tough. It is tough.
But that is something, I know that's deep and that's really hard for a lot of, because it really comes down to love. We don't want our loved ones to suffer. We don't want them to go through what they're going through. And if we think we just help, but the letting them sink or the sliding the mattress under, I've heard that from recovering addicts.
Mm-hmm.
We both experienced that in our lives, and it's true. You may have to do some deep digging and self-reflection on if you are the reason that people never
Change.
never change. And that's not saying that even if you do let them hit rock bottom, because again, that we all are in control of our own lives and it's all of our own decisions. And no matter what you do, recovery or change or healing, growth, that may never be part of their story.
Right.
So it's hard. And that's really.
I knew there was something she talked about with the ball in here. Think of healing as a game that the person you love must choose to play. Offering support is like throwing someone the ball, and you can toss the ball to them over and over, but they have to catch it, is that scenario. And they have to run it down the field. And then enabling is when you grab the ball and try to run it down the field for them.
Yeah.
And so there she says, let them drop the ball. Let me stop throwing it. Let me resist the urge to pick it up and run it down the field. Let me stop lying about what is happening. And often that is lying to yourself. And let me accept the fact that they're not ready to change, because they're just not ready yet. And that, adults heal when they are ready to do the hard work.
It's just hard because sometimes they're, like I said, it may never be part of their story. And that's not something that any of us can change. That's a higher power thing.
Right. Yeah.
So
don't shield people from the consequences of their choices.
Yes. Yep. And that's usually what the slide the mattress is, right? Before
Right.
they have to feel the consequences. If you are enabling, or if you are constantly helping somebody out, they're not feeling the consequence of their action. They're not feeling the pain. They're not, not that you want them to be homeless, or you want them, we of course don't want them to go
Right.
through that, but that's part of the human experience. You have to.
Yeah. And especially after you've been through it more than once. I mean, a lot of times, or even a couple times, because some people have been doing this for years with
Yeah.
their family member
Mm.
or loved one, you know. So, okay, so you navigate through it once and it doesn't work out or whatever. You navigate through it again, it doesn't work. Well, then at some point, you know, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So that cycle is going to continue. And so we're not going to always get it right the first time or two.
Yeah.
But after that, then it becomes our responsibility to make a different choice ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's,
Because they're not the only ones that have to make a hard choice. We have to make a hard choice too.
yeah. Yeah. You have to make the hard choice to, it might be that you never speak to that person again until they're healed. But if they never get healed, that's a really tough decision. There's nothing wrong with having hope, or, putting stipulations on a relationship with a kid or whatever. Like, okay, I'll see them and, just check in, at least that'll give you some comfort. But
Right.
but always have boundaries with what that looks like. I'm just going to go say hi and then leave,
Right.
whatever, because, we do need to comfort ourselves, but you have to do that safely.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And then she talked about also in another one is how to provide support the right way. And one of those was more along the lines of like when somebody is going through something difficult, like maybe like a death or, something like that. Maybe
Life changes.
a life change of some sort, a divorce. I'm trying to, I mean, I know there's a lot of things, but
Yeah.
losing a job,
Yeah.
whatever those kind of things are, parent becoming a single parent, that kind of a thing, and how to support, in the right way, and of just doing those helpful things without asking the person
Yeah.
what they want you to do and what they need, because a lot of times when we're going through a struggle and in a hard spot in our life, one of the things she said, we don't even know what day it is,
Yeah.
let alone know what to ask for and what help to give. And so just more of an encouragement to all of us. And I know that I can be way better at it too, is just do the thing instead of,
If you can bring them a meal,
right,
or
watch their kids or go to the grocery store for them or something like that, don't ask, what can I do for you? Just kind of,
you generally know.
let's do it.
If it's
Right.
friends or family, you generally know, okay, if I was struggling through this, I could really use dinner.
Right. I could
And not
use dinner,
think about it.
or I could use somebody to come over and wash my dishes, or,
Yeah.
something like that, about us just being more helpful
Yeah.
in the right ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that there was probably more to that, but right now I can't think of.
Well, I think that's pretty good though. You can still support somebody and make sure that, you're just not enabling, or,
Right.
you can just checking in on them could be good enough.
Right.
Or,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, if it's somebody who's struggling with addiction or whatever, or maybe when they get to the point where they say, you know what, I want to go to rehab, or I want to whatever, and give them a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give them a ride, drop them off. I mean, that is a good supportive behavior,
Yeah.
to do. So let's see. Then the last chapter, or the last section of it, was choosing the love you deserve. So
Let them show you who
they are.
I really like that.
Let them show you who they are. I know I've heard that saying before. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Believe them.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, or did we talk about this on the podcast? No, I think I told you, is like, if you're dating, or even just with a friendship with somebody, after I'm going to use dating, but this can be applied to anything. But if you've been on a date or you've been dating with somebody for somebody like say 5 months, ask yourself if you know what you knew now, would you ask them out on a second date?
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that is just people are who they are. And it's a little quite different than like if you were married and you're trying to inspire somebody to be healthy, or because just generally people, we don't like to acknowledge that people are the way they are.
Right.
Um
Right.
like
And,
the way they treat you is a big one. Is the big one.
right. And sometimes looking and saying, okay, if I had a friend and they went out on a date with this person or whatever, and this is how they treated them or whatever, would I say to my friend, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
doing? Don't do that again, or whatever. Or I mean, it could be the opposite way too. Man, that's really, cool and nice and whatever. But just being like more honest with yourself.
Yeah. I don't know why we always try. Oh, and there was you fall in love with their potential, and that's, I feel like that's all right now for women, especially at least in my realm of the world. That we're all realizing that we were in a relationship because we were in love with their potential, or we thought we could fix or help them, and that
Right.
it's just you just have to face the mirrors. Some people won't ever change,
Right.
and
Right. And so when someone shows you who they are
yet believe
the
them,
first time,
believe them, and
believe
your
them.
gut.
Right. Right.
You
In your intuition.
always, yeah, your intuition. You're usually
Hmm.
you always had a feeling or something,
Right.
so you just should have listened the first time.
Right. You start learning how to listen.
Yep.
And that the one chapter is the purpose of dating is not just to find the one, it's also to figure out who aren't the ones,
Yeah.
that don't look at you go on a date and you want to call it a bad date or whatever you want. And it's not really a bad date, it's a learning date.
Yeah.
It's like a date learning what you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just because you date someone once doesn't mean,
Yeah. You have to go on a second.
yeah, I have to go on a second
Or even if you've already been on 10 dates, you don't have to keep. It's kind of like the dancing analogy you gave. You don't have to keep dancing. Just remove yourself from the
right.
heartache.
Right.
The faster, the better.
I love this one thing too, because that, in our society, and maybe it's not so much this way as much as it used to be, but that you grow up, you go to school, you get married, you have, you know what I mean? There's like this, and that she says you weren't put on earth to be somebody's wife or husband. You're here to fulfill your dreams, share your story, and create a big, beautiful, amazing life.
Yeah, I love that because
Yeah. Yeah. And look at dating as a way to go out and meet people, like I said, it's not, there's not a bad one. Well, I guess there could be. I mean, I'm sure there are people you give an example of a really bad, but
I love that because like you should still keep your dreams. And I feel like maybe this might be, I don't know if this is just the area that I grew up in from where I'm speaking, but like a relationship or marriage, I just feel like you should be in the relationship. Well, this is how it is because I'm experiencing this. You should be able to keep your dreams and goals, and then a relationship shouldn't change your dreams and goals. That's what I mean. You should still be able to have all of those things.
Right.
And be in a relationship.
Right. It's like you're a whole person with a whole person, and we both have our hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
And then together we encourage and support.
Yeah, to accomplish those
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like, having a relationship with another person is like it's a bonus on top of a beautiful life.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it an even more beautiful life.
Right.
You shouldn't, and that's, I think, where a lot of the turmoil and things come from, is somebody is compromising or giving up a lot.
Right.
Instead of,
right.
That's not how it should be.
Right.
It's not how it should be.
Right. I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday and just about how important it is that you do make sure that you have input into things and life decisions and those kind of things with your
Yeah.
partner, with your person. Don't let the other person discount what your wants and needs are.
Yeah, and make sure you know the things you're not willing to compromise on, which should be your dreams and goals.
Right.
Like, I'm not, I'm going to college to be this and that. That's not changing.
Right.
So love it how it is or don't. So,
What was this? I read this to Danielle before we started too. It's if someone likes you, you'll know.
yeah.
And if they don't, you'll be confused.
Mm.
And so you have to kind of listen to that. Am I confused about this relationship?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Friendships.
do I know that
Friendships
person
are
like
one.
me?
Yeah.
Or am I like totally confused and every day I'm going, what is this? What is going on?
Yes. It's so good. That is so good.
Yeah. And also about if you're the one who's always the one initiating, engaging, texting, calling, doing all of the things that the other person isn't, at least to some
Reciprocating.
right, reciprocating that back and forth. It's really hard to have one-sided relationships. That is something that I've learned in a couple different relationships that I tried to have with some people over the years.
Yeah.
It's very hard to have a one-sided
Yeah.
one-sided
Well, it's
relationship.
very exhausting.
I think it really just kind of like voids out the whole meaning of what relationship is, right?
Yeah,
If it's only one-sided, it's not a relationship. Chasing people,
Yeah.
you can have like 10 people over here who want to have a relationship with you, but you have this one person over here that it's like you're constantly like chasing that relationship. It's like maybe just like stop chasing
Giving
that
energy to that.
and put your energy into the
Yeah.
relationships that want with people who want to have them with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have relationships with people that want to have a relationship with you
Yes.
because it's
If you're constantly confused or questioning,
mhm,
you should wonder why
right.
and evaluate. Real quick on that though, remember like when we were talking about helping people heal or whatever. If somebody is depressed or your friend
Mhm.
just had a baby or
Right.
remember that some of your friendships do require you to have a lot of effort
Right.
because
At certain seasons.
it can ebb and flow, but the relationships that we're talking about.
Right.
Because if we're talking about this and a relationship is popping in your head, that's probably the relationship
Right.
that needs to be.
Yeah. Because we do go through seasons in our life where, we just need our friends to kind of step up and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm depressed. I'm
Right.
not going to answer my phone.
right.
Yeah. But you also know that when you finally get to meet up with them or go to their house, you get the feeling in the room.
Right.
But because the person that we're talking about that you're constantly texting, you're the one setting it up, you're the one chasing, like they're not reciprocating very much.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
you'll know.
There's that. Let's stop chasing the potential of who someone might be. Stop pouring your time and energy into people who do not give it back to you.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They don't like you. Wake up.
Yeah.
That's sometimes the cold hard truth. That's
sometimes the hard truth. Yeah.
Sometimes you're the problem.
Let me wake up. Let me wake up and be honest with myself.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and the more you're not, the more you're creating a fantasy. The more you're creating a fantasy of
And you're living
something that's not real. So,
unrealistic fantasy that's very heartbreaking, energy taking.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, then let's see. There was the next chapter, and that is how to take your relationship to the next level.
I like this one because it was saying, like I said, sometimes you're the problem. Sometimes we do need to recognize that we are, okay, I do need to quit putting in so much effort. I've had enough of that. I've been doing a lot of that. I've been giving my energy away to people who don't deserve it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And again, that's that whole being honest with yourself thing. And paying attention to patterns and relationships. That if you're always picking the wrong relationship, if you're always picking the same kind of dysfunctional relationship, that again is something that we have to kind of sit with and
grow from. You have to,
you try to figure out, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Yep. Why am I doing it?
Why do I keep finding myself in the
Yes.
same kind of relationship? And then doing the work, and then knowing also, sometimes you got to tell yourself, because we do, I mean, none of us want to be lonely, none of us want to be
Right.
I mean, being alone is okay. There's a difference between alone and lonely. You can be alone and enjoy yourself, but none of us want to be lonely. But if we're constantly trying to have a relationship with someone that either doesn't want to have one with us, or it's toxic, or whatever it might be, you're never going to find the right person.
Yeah, or the one that's meant for you.
Right. If you're over here,
Yeah.
doing this.
Yep. Yep.
And sometimes it's hard sometimes. Sometimes it's having faith that there is something better, something more beautiful, something
in that
different.
Worthy of better.
Right.
You are
Yeah.
worthy of better. You
Right.
do deserve better. But you do need to recognize that sometimes you have to be the person to change and not choose the negative things.
Right.
Because you don't deserve the negative things. You don't deserve to be treated how that person's treating you.
Mm-hmm.
So in there you are made for more, meant for more. You don't have to stay stuck.
Right.
So
Yeah. Let's see. Is there someone better out there? The answer is, you'll never know. I guess that's kind of along the lines of, you'll never know if you don't ever.
Yeah, just don't. If you're
Right.
relationship, even with we're not just talking like loving or
Right.
like
friendships. Yeah.
You can make new friends. You don't have to be stuck with the same toxic friends that you've always had. If your friend group isn't helping you grow or change, or you don't feel good when you leave the group, or if they're all drinkers and you are not going to drink and they're not accepting of that, it's time to move on. It's time to
and there
a new friendship.
And she talks a lot about, on her podcast and different things too, about, maybe some of the best friends of your life you haven't met yet,
Yeah,
they're just like exciting. They're right around the corner, but it's taking that chance and put yourself out there a little bit, out in the world, and, whatever. I think we talked about that we probably talked about that in our last one, engaging or navigating relationships.
Yeah, but that was,
that's something you got to put yourself out there.
I like
with adult friendship
because
too.
I feel like as adults we don't think we can make new friends, or that our friends that we have are just our friends and this is just like the group of people. But I was really inspired, and I liked, like, what if I do make a new friend? Like, that's so exciting to me. I have a great group of girlfriends that I've known since the second grade. Love them dearly, would do a lot for them, but it's exciting. Like, what if you meet somebody new and they're all of a sudden your best friend, or whatever, they change your life, they help your family in ways you didn't know. You never know.
Right. And
we all need to be open to new friendships. Yeah. Because you could change their life. You never know.
Right. Yeah. And you are the love of your life. Yeah. Then it's because we talked about this, I think, on our navigating relationships, and navigating that relationship with yourself, and start learning what makes you happy. Start discovering, your passions and your, write a joy list. What brings you joy? And
something that I wrote on my joy list that I recently redid was, I love writing in different colored pens, because it's like I'm a nurse, so black pens I despise black pens. So I swear it's related to that, but I just love, and I bought colored pens, And it brings me joy when I write with a pink pen.
I like colored pens too.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's, who is it? Because I love those Pilot G2 pens or whatever they're called. And they have them like in different color schemes now. And like,
Ooh.
these ones are like energizing colors, and these ones are something or another color. So you can buy the
fine point.
pack. I don't know. I just know I like writing with them.
Yeah.
I like writing with them. So,
Yeah.
but just even something simple like that.
Yeah. Which we talked on, I think, podcast on the last season was like finding out what you like and what you love. It's okay to find out things that you don't like,
Right.
love. But just start, if you're like, I don't even know what I like.
Right.
Well, then you have to start doing things. If
Yeah.
you're like we did the painting a couple times.
Yeah, that was super fun. I love painting class.
And you're like, I'm not a fan. Okay, well, write that on the do not like.
Yeah.
So, and it's all about experience.
Right.
So,
last night I had downloaded a piano app on my iPad.
Nice.
And so I was sitting here last night and I was I found on YouTube, like some how to play.
Oh, yeah.
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 So I was sitting there just kind of playing some music. I did.
Music is so
I
good.
did several different artists and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at me. I am like actually playing this song right now.
So exciting.
Yeah, it was just something different to do instead of, just sitting there watching TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let them be who they are, but more importantly, let yourself be who you truly are. Can I read these ones here?
Yeah, they still hear them. So,
or we can read them back and forth. Let me prioritize my happiness.
Let me pursue my dreams with passion.
Let me set boundaries that protect my peace.
Let me choose relationships that uplift and inspire me.
And let me love myself enough to walk away when it no longer works. Boom. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. And the last thing is stop chasing love and start choosing it.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's kind of like, taking your power back.
So I think we would give this book a 5-star review.
Yes, we would.
We would. We learned a lot.
We
inspired.
Yeah.
Because,
it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's some more. Let's read these ones.
Yes.
Okay.
I hope you all are coming to your let me era.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's what this chapter is. So let me get started.
Let me take a risk.
Let me write the book.
Let me be honest about what I want.
Let me get in the best shape of my life.
Let me apply for the dream job.
Let me stop giving love to people who don't want me back.
Let me create a better life.
A life that makes me proud. A life that makes me happy. Yeah, let me.
Yes.
Yes. I really think that is, the book is let them, but the power is in let me.
Because remember at the beginning of this book, I was a little, I was like, I'm decent at like,
let them. Right.
But if the power really does come in the let me part of, I'm going to let them react how they want to react.
Right.
And I'm going to let me continue on.
Yeah.
Doing whatever I need to do.
I just texted somebody. They were trying to make a decision of something that was whether it should still happen or not. And so I texted this person and I said, do what you want to do and then let everybody else deal with how they feel about it.
Yep. Amen to that.
Amen to that. I have to tell myself that too.
Yeah. They'll get over it and you'll be happier anyways.
Right.
And
sometimes we just really have a hard time letting ourselves make the best decision for ourselves.
We're too worried about.
I think if we would let ourselves practice it more, that it would become easier. And then we will realize that the world isn't going to fall apart if somebody else doesn't agree with it or like it or whatever,
Yep.
So, yeah. So that is Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Yep.
We just really enjoyed it. And then we are reading.
Yes.
I have it. Not right here. I could go grab it if you want me to.
I mean, if you want to. Otherwise, we're doing a new one for February. And if you want to read with us, come along. Maybe everybody who reads with us, we can have on the podcast. We can do a yes. What if you are the answer?
What if you are the answer? I think this is going to go along very well with the one we just got done with.
Yeah, because now it's time to let me, and I'm the one responsible for changing my life.
Yeah. And what if you were the answer on 26 other questions that just might change your life?
Yep.
And you won't know if they will change your life unless you read the book.
Yep.
So, yeah. So that's our next one. And then we will do a couple episodes on that one. And then next week, we will be back to our normal draw out of the hat topic.
Yep.
So we'll see what comes up. And yeah.
Right.
All right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week on the Anything Bagel podcast.
On the end, yep, on Anything Bagel. So we are going to go let ourselves
Be happy.
and live a happy and joyous life. We hope you do too. So, all right. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
All right.
Next time.
Okay. Bye.